Friends, Lori here. I'm back. So it is Sunday, July 11th. I have been vlogging all weekend. And then I lost all my footage because sometimes this new computer, it like takes away my audio. So I have been vlogging all weekend, but I have no footage to show you, which is sad because I actually did get quite a few things read. So my goal this weekend prior to today was to finish all of my arcs that I was in the middle of, and I actually had a couple. So the first book that I finished was Dragon Bird in the Fern, which is for the TBR and Beyond reading tour that I'm on at the end of July. So here's a photo of the book. I wound up liking this book. It was very, very politically focused. You basically follow this character, and her sister has passed away a couple of months prior. Her sister was murdered, and the world in this thing is that when someone is murdered, their spirit haunts you until you find their murderer. And this main character winds up being betrothed to her sister's fiance and has to go to a different continent, like a different country, basically, to like be this queen. The one thing I loved about this book, in addition to the political intrigue, because it was all political intrigue, there was some elements of magic in regards to the gods and stuff, but it was very much like more of like like not like a magic system in the story. But I love the representation. The main character had dyslexia, and as someone that has struggled with a lot of learning challenges my whole life, I've had dyspraxia, dysgraphia, and dyscalculia. I don't have dyslexia, but I understand the complications she would have going to another place, not being able to really like pick up languages very, very easily or understand new languages. But also, it was probably the best political alliance romance I've ever really read. Definitely strong. I'm so sorry I lost all my footage, but I really did like that one, and I wound up giving that one 4 stars for review. I finished reading was the Up All Night anthology edited by Laura Silverman. It had like a bunch of different stories, and basically the premise was these stories took place between sundown and sunup. I found some really, really fun. I think the one thing I tend to like about YA short stories is they tend to be incredibly diverse and all different ways, genres, representation, sexuality. All of these representations were so just fluid in these stories. But the one sad part is that they're so short, and some stories I just wanted more and more and more. Some writing styles I didn't click with, but I definitely did find like more authors to keep a nose out in the future. If you want me to do like a full length review of like all the stories individually, let me know and I will try to do that in the future. But that's what I finished. And then I started reading Some Girls Do by Jennifer Dugan. Right now, I also got Comic-Con tickets today, which is, I did not think that was going to happen. Was really unconvinced that I was going to get Comic-Con tickets. But I did wind up getting up to page 208 in Some Girls Do. So let's dive into this one. This is Jennifer Dugan's third book. I had mixed feelings on Hot Dog Girl. Really liked Verona Comics. And this one is a bisexual story, basically. But it follows these two characters, and you follow Ruby, who is really dealing with a lot. Her home life is not the best. Her mom is one that is just kind of forcing her to do things that she wanted to do before she got pregnant with her. She's on the pageant circuit, and that's what her mom wants her to do. Her love, however, is working on cars. She's very much not out. She has not come to terms with that herself. But when a girl comes to school, that changes everything. And this new girl, her name is Morgan, and she is very out and very, very proud because in her former Catholic high school, she was basically kicked out. They have a lawsuit against the school, and she's a track runner, and this new school wants to take her on so she could help them win like a state title, but there's a lot of drama with her former school. And she does not want to be back in the closet. That's the last thing she wants to do. But these two characters have very, very unexpected meetups that just spring up hilarity, drama, and just funniness. It's just funny. But it's also so heartbreaking to see both of these characters going through their own thing. But they're also really just developing themselves in self-discovery ways. But the one thing I did like about this book a lot is it had conversations that I've had with my friends about just, typical things, which I really, really liked. But it also really just looks at the LGBTQ world and how some people are not as lucky as Morgan is. And Morgan had to really come to terms with that. So they had a part in this book where they're like trying to figure out how to help the LGBT community, which I really like. I will say this book is a little bit messy, but again, it's high school. High school lives, kids' lives, they are messy. There's a little bit of friends with benefits happening here. There's, some drinking and drugs and stuff like that. But at the end of the story, I'm really, really liking it. I think it's a very, very quick, fast-paced read, and I'm learning so much about the bisexual and experience. I'm just really, really enjoying it. I love Jennifer Dugan's writing, and I both really like both characters, and I also love the side characters. It's just, there's so much representation in this story on so many different aspects, and that's what I look for in my contemporaries. Even if like your main character is not LGBTQ+, I really appreciate side characters or all characters being different, because that's just what our world is, and it's what I look for in my current reads. But really, really liking this so far. So today's a little bit busy. I have a birthday party for my friend. Today's her birthday. So that I actually haven't been to a birthday party in like 14 months, so that would be kind of cool. But I do actually want to catch up on my podcast today. It looks like it's gonna pour, but I do want to maybe go for a bike ride before that happens. But I'm so happy I got Comic-Con tickets. It's been so long since I've been to a convention. I'm just hopeful that I can go all 4 days. Because that's not really up to me, unfortunately. That's what happens when you have a job and you have to ask for weeks off. But my goal is to finish this book at some point today. Also, a little bit of entertainment stuff-wise, I did wind up watching the TV show Monsters at Work, which is just very, very cute and lighthearted. I also did wind up finishing the first round of my YouTube videos. I got it down to 0. Now it's back up to 100. That's just what happens when you have so many content creators that you love to support. So I actually do have quite a few videos to watch again. And I started watching a new Australian TV show, The Bureau of Magical Things, which I'm really liking. I watched a couple of episodes of that last night. So I'm going to hopefully go for a bike ride, take my book with me, listen to my podcast, come back and check in with you guys and see how far I got in Some Girls Do. Talk to you guys in a little bit. Bye, friends. Sorry for the really long delay, but I did wind up getting up to page 250 in Some Girls Do. I did wind up having to do a little bit of R&D stuff. I had to try to get Black Widow tickets, which took a lot longer than I thought it was going to take because the website did not like me. But I finally got Black Widow tickets in addition to Comic-Con tickets, so it was just a long day of like R&D stuff. I also did go for a bike ride and listen to a little bit of my podcast. I do have a party I have to go to tonight, which it's been so long since I went to a party, so I have to leave in about an hour for that. But I did want to say that I want to get 250 in Some Girls Do by Jennifer Dugan. This is the classic. It's becoming a little bit more classic, but the characters' problems are a little bit more complicated. But you have Morgan that's really determined to sort of make her coming out story worth it in the end, and she's getting a little bit disheartening news. And then you have Ruby, who is not in a good place to be out of the closet at all, and you see that combining between them. Ruby doesn't want to be with her in public and stuff like that. It's just a little bit complicated for Morgan's character just because of everything that she went through, but there's also a lot of like drama happening with the court case that Morgan is involved in. It's very, very compelling. I really do like their relationship. I'm just concerned to see how this story is going to go, and when the blow up happened, how that entails. Sometimes blow ups break my heart, and sometimes they're like, you can sort of be a little bit predictable, but I'm curious how this book is going to go. I'm really, really liking it though. Very, very fun. And this has about a little bit more than a little bit less than 100 pages left, so I'm going to go tackle a little bit more and try to read until 3:30, and then I'm probably going to head up to town, but I'll give you guys one more check-in before I head out for the evening. Bye, friends. Sorry, here I'm back. Sorry, I didn't wind up updating before I went out, and we stayed out a little bit longer than we originally planned. But I'm pleased to report that I was able to complete Some Girls Do by Jennifer Dugan. I really like this book. I think this is definitely, I still think I like Verona comics a lot, but definitely like this book a lot more than Hot Dog Girl. It just was such a sweet read. I think that the only way I tend to cry in books is super heartfelt moments, or books where choices are made that put characters' best choices in the best light, like things that happen to characters and you don't expect it. I really, really like this book. I thought the end was great. I thought there was a lot of important conversations happening in this book, both in the start and also the end, but also about Ruby and Morgan. And how comfortable they were with being out and how important that was to Morgan, but also how fearful of that Ruby was. And I also thought it was a nice balance between talking about big issues like trying to change the world based on what happened to Morgan at her school, but also trying to find subtle ways to help. I really, really enjoyed this book. Definitely a lot of important conversations happen, but I'm super happy that I read it. And yeah, so I think the next book I'm going to pick up, it is in the evening. I don't think I'm going to read anymore today, is That Weekend by Kara Thomas. I read one Kara Thomas book and really enjoyed it. This one, three best friends, a lake house, a secret trip, what can go wrong? Three went up the mountain, but only one came back. That weekend changes everything. And it follows this girl named Claire. She goes to a prom weekend with her two best friends, I think. And she comes back and Kat and Jesse are messing. And she has no memory of that weekend, which I love a good amnesia trope. If you check out my favorite thrillers, there's a couple of amnesia tropes in that. So yeah, I think I'm going to pick this one up and I'm going to start reading this tomorrow. I had a little bit of a rough week. Just like I had a really, really bad sinus headache and it kind of threw me off. So I'm going to go back next week doing my morning routine, which I sort of neglected a little bit of. But yeah, I'm definitely going to pick this book up tomorrow. I'm going to try to watch something on TV and just sort of decompress. And I'll check in with you guys tomorrow. Bye, friends. Here I'm back. It is Monday morning, the 12th of July, which, happy Monday. But I didn't wind up doing a lot last night because I got home super late. I did wind up finishing reading Some Girls Do. I'm about to pick up That Weekend by Kara Thomas. I am going to start listening to Courage to Soar by Simone Biles, which is her autobiography. I have already read it, but I got access to not access, but like I got the audiobook from my library and I didn't think it was going to come in until later, so figured I would take that and listen to that. I also have a secret, people always talk about secret projects. I don't really keep them all that secret, but I do have like a secret project review coming up. I'm going to listen to a couple of audiobooks for this little project I'm doing, so after I finish my Simone Biles autobiography and maybe listen to the Lori Hernandez one, I'm going to start that little project, which will probably take me for the rest of the summer, just because they're a little bit longer. But I'm about to start That Weekend. I might go for a bike ride because it's supposed to rain today. It's been like very, very wet and rainy here, which is fine. But the grass loves it, but I don't because I like to bike ride. So I'm either going to go for a bike ride and read a little bit of The Bone Season and this, or I'm going to stay here and read this. So we'll go take a note. I will go be nosy about that and go see if I could do that. But either way, I'll check in with you when I've read a little bit of something. So talk to you guys in a little bit. Bye, friends. Here I'm back. I just want to do a quick update. I did wind up reading basically the first 50 pages in That Weekend by Kara Thomas. So you basically follow two point of views, but your main character is Claire. And the first point of view you follow is she is set a couple of days in the future, and she's found on a mountain with no memory of how she got there. She doesn't know where her best friends are, but she has no memory of the stuff that happened. And the other point of view you follow is Claire a couple of days in the future, I guess, going through what happened. But it's very, very eerie and very, very creepy. Also, there's a lot going on in Claire's life. She just graduated from high school, or maybe she's a junior. I don't know if she's graduated or not. I think she just graduated. She didn't go to college in the fall. But she has some complications with the two people she was with. They were dating, and she has feelings for the male person, Jesse. But I'm really intrigued right off the bat. Like, sometimes with these mystery thrillers, I can totally see the ending coming and I get a little bit frustrated, but I've always liked Kara Thomas's writing. I went into this book thinking the two people on the mountain with her were girls, but it's actually a boy and a girl, which I think just adds the intensity to it. But she's losing time, she doesn't have memory, she's having a hard time remembering what happened, which again, I love amnesia as a trope. So yeah, I'm going to read like another 50 pages and I will give you guys a check-in. I've also started my way through my YouTube queue. I have 97 videos left, which will take me probably 2 days to do, but then I will pretty much be up to date and I can like watch some TV shows that I've neglected. But I'm going to go back to reading and I'll update you guys when I can. Bye, friends. Here, it's about 1:36. We did try to go for a walk and then it rained. Like, it's just been so humid here in Long Island. Like, we also had the after effects of the hurricane down in Florida. We had the after, I don't know the name of it, but it's been very, very wet and very, very rainy. But I am pleased to report that I did want to get up to page 100 in That Weekend by Kara Thomas. I love characters that have amnesia, and I also think it's interesting because for the most part, this book is all in the present, but Claire is starting to get moments of the past, and everyone has a different theory what happened to Claire. You have her dad and her mom who are very, very protective of Claire, but you also have other characters. I really like a good mystery. I think it's very, very fascinating, this one, because you're really relying on an unreliable narrator, but you're also knowing there was so much drama internally for Claire before she was found. Like, the last moment we all saw them together. So I'm really curious, like, where this story is going to go. I have hopes it's not one trope. Well, two tropes, I guess. But I'm curious to see where this story goes because I'm very intrigued by it. I love thrillers. So yeah, my plan for today is to read probably to get up to page at least 200 and then take a break and do some scrapbooking because I haven't scrapbooked all weekend, and maybe watch like a movie or something like as I'm crafting because I finished one friend's scrapbook and I want to start the other friend's scrapbook. But yeah, so I'm going to go read about another like 50 pages and then I'll give you guys a check-in. But so far, really liking it, and I might actually bump up Darkest Corners on my TBR because that's the one I have physically on my TBR that I really did like Cheerleaders. So we'll see how I feel about this one, and then I'll probably put Dark Corners on my TBR. But I'll give you guys a check-in when I read about 50 more pages. Bye, friends. Here it's about 2:48. I did wind up getting up to page about 150 in That Weekend by Kara Thomas. This book has definitely went in a direction I was not expecting. I will say that, and I'm really enjoying the turn of events. I think it's a really interesting story, and again, I'm a big fan of the amnesia trope. I think it's really, really well done. I read quite a few books like this that had this trope that I tend to really liked. I love Kara Thomas's writing a lot. I think there's a lot to this story, and I hope to tackle the rest of this book today, but I am going to take a little bit of a break. I am going to work out. I have a scrapbook project I want to start, and I don't know what I want to watch as I'm doing that, but I'm gonna go work out, scrapbook for a little bit, and also as a note, I did add a couple of more videos to my video queue, but I'm down to 92, which is pretty good. I keep adding them like as I see them because I have a lot of creators that I follow, a lot of bookish people, but some like other people too. But my goal is to make some more progress on this book today and possibly finish it, and then I don't know what I want to read next. I have a lot of contemporaries. I'm listening to Simone Biles' Courage for the Sword. I don't know the subtitle, but I read that a while ago. I read that right after she went to Rio, so I'm rereading it because she's going to Tokyo, and I love her. So I'm gonna go take a little bit of a rereading break, do one of my workouts, scrapbook, and then I'll check in with you guys when I'm about to start That Weekend again. Bye, friends. Here, it is a little bit later than I normally update. It's almost 12 o'clock. I did wind up going to yoga. I'm going to actually go for a bike ride. But I did want to say that last night I got up to page about like 200, I would say, in The Weekend by Kara Thomas. It's definitely a different type of mystery than I've read from her before. And there are a lot of like massive like time jumps. So you start at one point in the story and then you jump a couple of months, which a lot has happened to Claire in that interim. But it's still very, very mystery. Like, there's a plot point that's pretty much known to be true at this point that I'm doubting is actually true. But I am really liking it. So I'm probably gonna go to the park. It's like a very, very another dreary, very, very wet. It might rain again, but I'm gonna go for a bike ride while I have the moment and the time to do it. Probably gonna read in the park for a little bit. When I come back, I'll give you guys an update, and I'll give you guys a YouTube queue update. I didn't really watch anything last night. I watched the Bureau of Magical Things, a couple of episodes of that. I want to watch Loki tonight, the older episode, because the new episode comes out tomorrow, and it's the season finale, so I want to be able to be caught up on that. But my big goal is to watch my YouTube videos and not get distracted by other ones, which is the story of my existence. But I'm going to go for a bike ride, listen to a gymnastics podcast, because if you've not been following, Tokyo Olympics are on, and I want to hear all the behind-the-scenes drama. But when I get into the story and read a little bit more of That Weekend, I'll give you guys an update. Bye, friends. It's Laura here. I'm back. I did wind up going for a bike ride, listening to a little bit of my gymnastics news podcast. Definitely feel better informed for the Olympic team final. I still haven't listened to the whole thing because it's quite long, but I also did wind up getting up to page 221 in that weekend. We are going to get the other side of the story. I don't want to say what that means, but we're getting another side of the story from that weekend, which I'm intrigued by. Also, YouTube queue update. I have 94 videos left, which, hey, is a process. I'm getting there. But I'm probably going to read to 250, and then I'll give you guys another update. Bye, friends. I just want to do a quick check-in. I did wind up getting up to page 263. This book did not go the way I was expecting. I am honestly surprised at this book, a lot. I don't want to give it away, but it's a very surprising twist on the story, and I just want to keep reading because it definitely did not go the way I thought it was going to go, which is good in a thriller. I sometimes can predict thrillers, but this one's really surprising. So I'm going to go back to reading, probably grab a drink, and when I get up to page 300, I'll probably give you guys another update. Bye, friends. Laura here. I'm back. I just want to do a quick update. I was able to finish That Weekend by Kara Thomas. I think that this is definitely my favorite of her too. I read Cheerleaders a few years back. I really like this one. The one thing I like about Kara Thomas is she writes very morally gray characters that really make you think. And I sometimes struggle with morally gray characters, but she does a really good job. I really liked the overall tone of this story. I like how the amnesia elements were used. I like that we got a bunch of different point of views. I like that it was sort of an unexpected murder mystery. I liked it. I found it to be a great read. I also was able to watch the fifth or sixth episode of Simone Biles' documentary on Facebook Watch. It's a little bit hard to find, but really liking that. I also listened to 2.5 hours of gymnastic content, which is just the state of my life now that I'm in an Olympic cycle, and it's gonna come next week. So I have a lot of gymnastic content to watch. So my audiobook listening might go down a little bit, but I do hope to make some progress. Also, tomorrow I am going to see Black Widow. I'm going to try to watch Loki tonight. But my next read I'm going to pick up is With the Fire on High by Elizabeth Acevedo. I've heard incredible things about this book, and it's also the book for the TBRMB. I'm not TBRMB, it's the book for the Time Warp by a book club that I run. The link's always in the description box, but I'm going to pick this up and read the first 50 pages. And I know this book has to do with cooking and teen pregnancy. So I'm excited for this. I've heard really good things about Elizabeth Acevedo's books. So I'm going to read a little bit, probably watch a few videos, and then I will update you guys about my thoughts of With the Fire on High. Bye, friends. Here I'm back. It is Wednesday, July 14th. I am going to see Black Widow today. It is the first time me and my dad are going back to movies since the pandemic started. I did see Quiet Place in the City with friends about a month ago, but it was really, I've missed going to the movies with my dad. So I'm really excited we get to do that. I also did want to say that I did want to reading the first 100 pages of With the Fire on High by Elizabeth Acevedo. Exactly what I was expecting. But you basically follow this girl named Amani. I think I'm saying that correctly. She is a teen mom. She's a 2-year-old. She is highly interested in cooking. And in her senior year, she gets put into this elective cooking class. And she's dealing with a lot. She has a lot of family drama. Her mom has passed away. Her dad did not raise her. Her grandma did. So she has a relationship with her grandma. She has a relationship with her little daughter, which is very, very cute, Emma. But this cooking class has really sort of transformed how she thinks about food, but she loves to cook. And then there's a new boy that is intriguing her. Well, I'll say I think he's intriguing her. She really seems so disinterested. But yeah, I read the first 100 pages of this. I also got a ridiculous amount of e-arcs yesterday. I went to ALA. At this point, it was about a month ago I went to ALA. I went to ALA the end of June, right when school ended, and none of my Penguin arcs came in. I just assumed I didn't get access to them, but now I got access to 20 e-arcs, so so complicated, but that's okay. It just means I have more things to review, which is great for you guys who choose to see them. But yeah, I read about like 100 pages of this. I really am so intrigued by this read. I just really want to watch cooking videos in the background, which again, I'm just going to do because I like cooking videos a lot. So, I mean, I don't cook, but I like watching cooking videos. So, I'm going to pick up this a little bit more, read about 50 more pages, and give you guys a quick update. Bye, friends. Here, I'm back outside in the sun. It is 12:03, so I have a couple more hours before we have to head out to see Black Widow. But I did want to report that I did wind up getting up to page 152, and With the Fire on High by Elizabeth Acevedo. I am right off the bat thoroughly enjoying this book. I think, again, it's just another look into like another, not only like another type of person life's a teen mom, but also the cultural stuff that she's dealing with, and the cultural point of view is why I love reading diverse reads, because it's not an experience I have ever had, but I also think they're having such important conversations. But the one thing I think that everyone can relate to is like being told you have to work at what you're good at. Like, she thinks she's a very, very good cook. She thinks she's amazing at it. And this cooking class she's in is really challenging her because he's telling her, you need to learn the basics. And that I think is really hard for the main character to deal with. You also have a romance developing, or a potential romance developing. I'm really liking it. I think it's very interesting. And I also think that it's very, very focused on cooking. There's also a lot of side plots that are just very, very compelling. But I do not want to put this book down. The one thing I love about this book is the chapters are so short. And I love books that have short chapters because I feel like if I have to go run and do an errand or something, I can read a couple of short chapters before I have to leave. So I really do love the short chapters. I also love how it's broken up into different sections. There's recipes in it as well, which again is a very, very strong point for me. But I'm really liking it. So I'll give you guys an update when I get up to page 200. This book is a 400-page read, so when I get there, I'll give you guys a quick update, but I'll talk to you guys in a little bit. Bye, friends. Right here, I'm back. It's about 102. I did wind up getting up to the page of the 200-page mark with the Fire on High. Really loving this book. I think that this book is so much, again, I tend to gravitate towards books that are more about self-discovery, and this book is doing so many things right. I also like books that are about like creative careers, because I think that in our world that we live in, creative careers, whether it be cooking or the arts or music, are always not as seen as a good idea. They're always looked down upon, and as a theater teacher, I always like to show kids how creative ideas can be a possibility. So I really like that Amari is going after her, after what she wants. She wants to be a chef, but I also like the relationship between her and her teacher, because it's very complicated. And I strive my students to do that to me. I strive my students when I'm teaching to challenge me, because I don't know everything. And I think that there is a balance between that, because you have to be able to follow directions and you have to be able to listen, but you also have to be able to go above and beyond to make it your own. And that's what I think Amari is doing. I love the relationship between her and her daughter, and her grandmother. I personally have a very, very close relationship with my grandparents, so I'm just really, really liking it. And the chapters are super short. I really do like short chapter reads, just because it's quick paced, and again, she's very much, you could tell she's very much a poet, because you could tell how she writes, the importance of it, and how it's very, very fluid. It kind of stays in the present, but then it easily goes back to the past. So it's a very, very lyrical read, but in a very, very easy to follow way. Very, very enjoying it. So I'm going to read probably another 50 pages and then give you guys a check-in, but really flying through this read. And I also am halfway through She Might Be Monica's videos. I have 86 videos left, but I'm making some progress. So I'll talk to you guys when I read about 50 more pages. Bye, friends. Here I am back. It's much later. It's like 6 o'clock. I went to go see Black Widow with my dad, which was such a fun movie. I don't want to talk spoilers because everyone sees movies at different times, but I really enjoyed it. Definitely stay for the whole movie, because there is an end of credit scene, which you should definitely see. But I did wind up getting up to page 278 in With the Fire on High by Elizabeth Acevedo. There was a trip that has been planned throughout this whole book that is currently occurring, which I'm super excited about. There was a lot of like unexpected conversations that happened about Naomi and her daughter that I wasn't really expecting, and some very, very harsh conversations that I really wasn't expecting either. But also the relationship between her and her grandmother is becoming more complicated as the book goes on, and I do like that. I think it's very, very realistic. But yeah, really, really liking it. So I'm going to keep reading, and I'll update you guys when I can. Bye, friends. Here, just checking back in. It is 6:44. I did wind up getting up to page 318 in With the Fire on High, by Elizabeth Acevedo. Again, this book is dealing with so many complicated issues. I love a good travel novel, and this book does have a travel element, but I also just think Amani is such a unique and different type of character. I've never really read a character from a teen mom that I can remember. I read one by Katie Catugno, which I didn't love, but I love this book quite a bit. I think just also again, just learning about a different culture and a different lifestyle is so fascinating, but also I'm just liking you see the different types of teachers that Amani has experienced in this book. The one who's very, very strict and very, very by the book, and then her other teacher is so different from that. So I just like that, and it shows that being the type of teacher you are can work for other kids and not work for other kids. So I really am liking this book. I think I'm going to take a little bit of a break, take a shower, and then my goal is to finish this book tonight. I do have a lot of stuff to watch tonight, TV wise. I want to watch Loki, I want to watch Golden, and see what else is on the horizon, but my goal is to finish this. So I'm going to go take a shower and probably finish this, and then I'll check in with you guys again. Bye, friends. Lori here, I'm back. I just want to do a quick update. I did wind up last night finishing With the Fire on High, by Elizabeth Acevedo. That was a super quick read. I read that in a day. I really, really loved it. Definitely going to be a close to a 5-star read for me. I loved the storytelling of a teen mom as the protagonist. I love the romance elements. I love the travel. Really, really enjoyable. I wasn't feeling my best today. Whenever I have really bad allergies, I get really, really bad sinus pressure, which puts a lot of pressure on my upper molars, and then it makes me feel really nauseous. So that's what I've been dealing with today. I didn't get a lot of sleep last night either, but I was able to pick up Glimpsed. I think it's by G.F. Miller. Yeah, so this is a fairy godmother story in a sense. So you follow this fairy godmother. I think her name is Claire. Yeah, so she's the fairy godmother, and she gets these glimpses, and in these glimpses she sees a person's happily ever after, and she has to do everything in her power to get this person to have their happily ever after moment, and she calls them her Cinderellas. But when one of her former clients, the person that really liked that girl, winds up blackmailing her to reveal her whole scheme to the world, she has to sort of undo her work to get him to date this girl. It is a little bit convoluted at the start, but it's just a very, very fun read. I love fantasy light stories. I've always said that. Another one that I read recently was The Potion Diaries by Amy Allen, which is very, very fantasy light. This, I would say, is thing, and now we're getting to the crux of the story. But I did want to pop on here and say that I'm probably going to read a little bit more of this. I literally didn't do anything today, at all. I just read, I worked out a little bit, which I probably shouldn't have done, but I did that. So, and I didn't do my morning routine. I didn't go to yoga. I was really not myself today. But normally on Thursdays and Fridays, I do my planning for the weekend, and I plan on 2 days. So that's what I'm going to do tonight. Once I read a little bit more of this, I'm going to figure out what I have to do. I have to film a video this weekend. Probably film my July reading wrap up part 1. I've also been listening to a lot of gymnastic podcasts. We are about to head into the Olympics, and I have a podcast to listen to pretty much every single day. So I definitely want to finish some of my audiobooks this week so I can kind of devote some time to that. Just because I know it's going to be a lot of content to listen to. But I was gonna wrap this reading blog up yesterday, and then I just wasn't feeling great, so I didn't. But I'm gonna go read. I'm on page 162 of Glimpse, so I'm gonna go read a little bit more, make some way through my YouTube queue, and when I'm ready to wrap up this reading blog, I will. But talk to you guys in a little bit. Bye. For a quick update, I did wind up getting up to page 200 in Glimpsed, which I really am liking. It's definitely more of a fantasy light story, but I can definitely spy a romance brewing, which I don't think the characters necessarily are going to anticipate, which I always think is fun. But I'll talk a little bit about this more in my next reading blog that you guys are seeing, which will be another, maybe a weekend reading blog, we'll see. But I'll talk a little bit more about this. But I did want to go over the books that I did tackle early in this reading blog. I was able to finish Some Girls Do by Jennifer Dugan. I wound up giving this one 4 stars for review. I really enjoyed the representation. I like the characters, and you don't get that nearly enough. I also finished reading That Weekend by Kara Thomas. This was another one that I really liked. Definitely mystery thriller vibes. Definitely my favorite Kara Thomas book to date. And I also finished reading With the Fire on High by Elizabeth Acevedo, which I also gave 5 stars to. So yeah, overall, I've actually had a pretty good reading week. My listening game was definitely a little bit more down this week just because, as I said in a previous clip, I've been listening to a lot of gymnastics podcasts because the Olympics is, I think next week it starts, or maybe the following week. Sorry, I'm just a little bit thirsty. But those podcasts come in at like 2 to 3 hours each when they release them, so I have fallen a little bit farther behind. But I wound up reading 3 full books this week, which is actually pretty good. So I'm gonna go start my next reading vlog, and I'll talk to you guys soon.